Well, good evening, Sigma Race fans. Tonight is a Sigma Cup event from Papyrus. It's going to be the Papyrus 226 from Papyrus Motorsports Park. And with the Sigma Cup Series today, you're going to see an interesting face at the front here. Wyatt Wilkinson earns pole position alongside Dalton Scott in only his third start for Project Roar. As we go through the rest of the starting lineup, next row you've got Al Bunch and Rich Roy, followed by Brian DeBlanc and Ewan Whatarmy, Braden Varga and Maggie Reams, Eli the Wolf and Kellen Relic, Chaz Chadwick and Jacob Shangle, the 41 of Cooper Dwight with the 78 of Bradley Reim, Taden Bergeron and Nate Newman, Tristan Reams and Lucas Holmes, Tom Cording and Carson Bowers, Trevor Walker and Kevin Xavier, Lynn Farrell and Bella Fawn, Monty Shangle and Andre Stefan, Chris Harvey and Tasha Wright, followed by John Hagan and Tyler Shangle, Louis Trost and Fireball Roberts, Jordan Walker and Dave Steele Jr., Tyler Landa and Kara Shangle, Guido Piano and Tyler Aspinall, Adam Starr and Liz Shangle, with Jack Ross and Matthew Fastnot at the back of the field. Grand total of 60 laps around Papyrus here. Comes out to be 226 miles of racing.
Got your radio on over there? Yeah, 10-4. Can you hear me? Oh, yeah, I hear you loud and clear. Kennedy, you got me? Oh, yeah, I got you loud and clear there. That's clear, Jeff, you got me?
Well, Project Roar, rookie on a rampage, Wyatt Wilkinson there in the number 19. He's looking to try and do what none of the other Project Roar drivers have done, and that is to win a race. This is only his third start in the Project Roar project, and already in the early start, you've got Willow Blake with a demanding lead over the other two competitors, Wyatt Wilkinson and Trevor Vaden. Wilkinson's only had 2 starts up to this point, whereas Willow and Trevor have each had 5. Wilkinson falls back here a little bit to 4th, maybe 5th, as Al Bunch takes over the lead again, like he just picked up where he left off in the last race at Texas. Brian DeBlanc right behind him. Dalton Scott in 3rd. So it's a Jaguar, a Chevy, and a Jaguar. Oh wow, we already had a wreck in the race. Tough break for some individuals there, as that was lap 1. Some folks were lucky to get through it, but for the most part, there were still some folks that were not able to avoid the chaos on lap 1. Wow. And amazingly enough, the race stays green even after all of that. Oh wow, Brian DeBlank up to the lead now. Our Rookie of the Year battle is looking pretty interesting as well. They run on a little bit different of a points tally for the Rookie of the Year standings. And so basically, if you are the worst of the rookies in a race to finish, you'll get 1 point. And it climbs up the list from there. So if you're the second worst, you get 2. And it's all dependent on how many rookies are in the field for that given race. We might have 9 rookies in a race. That means the most points a rookie could get is 9. Whereas you could also have about 13 or 14 rookies in the field, and that means the highest score you could achieve for that given race is a 14. With that in mind, obviously you would be highest up in the point standings. You should be the highest in the rookie battle, but that doesn't always transition over. It's a battle amongst the rookies, so week in, week out, you got to beat your rookie rivals to keep that Rookie of the Year battle in your ball court. And as it sits right now, Bradley Reim at 104 points leads over Braden Varga's 92. Well, let's put that into perspective right here for everyone that's watching. Bradley Reim's running about mid-pack and 15th there. Let's say that he's 1 point right now. Go through the field. Tom Cording would be 2. Rich Roy would be 3. Cooper Dwight would be 4. Eli the Wolf would be 5. Braden Varga 6. Maggie Reams 7. So you can already see the disparity between the rookies. If you're having a bad race, you want to be beating your other rookie rivals, and Bradley Reim is actually about 7 points at a 7-point deficit right now to the other rookies. So gets interesting. That battle's going to go all the way down to the final race of the season. There may be a chance that it could get tied up early, but these rookies are looking stout, looking strong. In any given race, one might be able to beat the other. Al Bunch doing the best he can to lead some laps here today. Wyatt Wilkinson is impressing me here. Feel like he could be the sleeper for Project Roar to try and take the title for that 19th seat. There's already a lot of scuttlebutt as to where Willow Blake might land next year. Obviously, Project Roar will be a reward to team ownership here in the Cup Series, so it's going to be hard for her to turn down the ownership side of things, but that doesn't mean she couldn't go race for a different team either. Think about the 2311 Joe Gibbs counterpart there. We could see that with Willow Blake perhaps. But it all depends on who gets the Project Roar title, and that could be any of the three. It could be Wyatt Wilkinson, it could be Trevor Vaden, it could be Willow Blake. There's something going amiss with the 19 of Wilkinson. Doesn't look like he just had a bad lap there and got caught up by a lot of traffic. And right there is your top two in the point standings. Number 1 of Ewan Whatarmy and the 78 of Bradley Reim. Reim's going to have a chance here today to try and take the points lead away from Whatarmy. He's still got a lot of work to do to get past the one and then gain some extra spots to gain that points advantage. But it could happen here today, you never know. With it being a 60-lap event here around Papyrus, we should see at least a pit stop round or 2. Really kind of depends on when they take that first round of pit stops here today. So it could be a 2-stopper, but some drivers might actually try to stretch it on 1 stop, like we saw the fuel mileage game last night at Michigan. Never know. This road course, super speedway, it could be a gas hog. So they want to, crunch the numbers and make sure they've got enough in the tank. It's going to be a tough game to gamble. Got some new faces moving to the front of the field here. Eli the Wolf in 3rd now. Chaz Chadwick up to 6th. Kellen Relic up in the top 10 as well. Don't count out Cooper Dwight, Lucas Holmes. And your point leaders between Ewan Whatarmy and Bradley Reim also up a little bit more closer to the front. Lead has swapped hands quite a few times here in the early running. Dalton Scott, we've seen Al Bunch, we've seen Wyatt Wilkinson. This is the venue of one of our closest finishes in Sigma Cup racing history. Coming down the front stretch here, kind of akin to Blake making that move there on Dalton. 3 wide. 4 position there. It's going to give Eli the Wolf the lead. But that straightaway presents itself to have some of the closest finishes that we could see here in Sigma Racing. And hopefully today is no different, as these drivers all look fierce and fit for a win. Al Bunch just won the last race out at Texas. Broke what was a long winless streak. Honestly, a winless streak with Al Bunch wasn't going to be very long to begin with after having 15 wins last year. And it took him about 12 races this year to get that first win. Is it the first of many? Are the floodgates open? Could we be looking at another stretch of wins out of Al Bunch, trying to push his way back up into that 15-win column like last year? He's up on the back bumper of the 94 there. That is a teammate to him. He's going to dip low here. Ooh, hopefully Bossman Kellen sees that they're playing nice up front. Doesn't want to pay for the damage fees on his two cars leading the race here. Still no cautions early on in this one. We've made it 17 laps strong. Fastest lap has been turned by Al Bunch. Things have kind of singled out here for a little ways from the front of the field as Eli the Wolf leads Al Bunch and Dalton Scott. A trio of Jaguars have been hard to stop this year. Pushing it 3 wide almost, but it's going to be 2 wide for the lead as Al Bunch takes over the position. Dalton Scott and Eli the Wolf side by side as Braden Varga knocking on the door for 3rd place as well. Chaz Chadwick up into the top 5 here for the first time tonight. He's hoping to turn things around. It's been a tumultuous 2025 for the 18 LFG Motorsports Honda. He's had some good starts, but closing the door at the end of the race is where it's been hurting the hardest. And that finishing result has been kind of throwing him in a bit of a curveball. So maybe, just maybe, the Lux can change around a little bit here tonight. Top 10 as they run right now is a good place to start. Tom Cording in 10th. Then you got Chaz's teammate, Ewan Whatarmy, in 11th. What happened to Bradley Reim? Ouch. Reim dropped another 4 spots back to 18th. Well, Dalton Scott leads at the third mark of the race with 2/3 of the race left to go. And the first round of pit stops may be happening. So, looking more like a two-stop race here tonight. We'll see how far some of the drivers can push it here. Chris Harvey obviously was involved in that early wreck, so perhaps pitting a little bit earlier here on target to the schedule that they were hoping to change up here. Dalton Scott, on the other hand, we'll see how long it takes. Ooh, and Al Bunch making a move. Man, it's just turned into the Jaguar party at the front of the field as you've got Jaguar 1, 2, and 3. Not any more takers down pit road, though, this time. So this could be some of your drivers pushing it on that one-stop strategy. It's going to be very, very close. I don't know how far they can push it here. You might need at least the help of a caution somewhere in the race to get them the fuel mileage numbers that they need. Chaz Chadwick up to 4th. And by golly, the 4th and final Jaguar running in 5th. So we could see a Jaguar sweep of the top 5 here today. That is yet to actually ever happen in Sigma competition. We've never had this many Jaguars in a field prior seasons, so there we go. 23 people pitting. They're not going to be able to push it far enough to make that halfway mark. So that's where this race is going to get very, very interesting, is the alternating strategies here. As you can see, these drivers staying out just a little bit longer. You've got the one Jaguar of Kellen Relic who had started at the back of the field and slowly worked his way to the front. So perhaps maybe not burning near as much fuel in that number 87 engine. Chaz Chadwick in the Honda. Wyatt Wilkinson in the Toyota, and then Ewan Whatarmy in the Honda. Tom Cording in 5th in the Chevy. So you've got quite a mix of manufacturers in this long fuel run window. Even Bradley Reim in the late strategy calls here. So and they ain't going to be able to push it much further. So they're going to have to come down here on lap 24. Which means everyone's going to have to pit one more time. This later group, they're definitely going to have to go about lap 48 for their last round of pit stops, which would leave them with about 10 laps, 10 to 12 lap charge to the finish. Wyatt Wilkinson fortunate with the front pit stall after earning pole position here today. See how they shake out coming off pit road. Wyatt Wilkinson's going to use that first pit stall to his advantage and gain a bit of momentum there. They're going to rejoin the track right as the new leaders resurface. Al Bunch and Eli the Wolf. Looks like perhaps the biggest loser in the strategy here may have been Dalton Scott, who I don't see anywhere in the top 5. Wow, all the way back to about 10th right there. Very interesting with Eli the Wolf, as he's had to make it through sprint qualifiers. He's an unchartered entry and has to make it through the sprint qualifiers each week to make the main event. Well, the way he's rolling, he might as well be in a chartered entry. You know, that risk is ever present that he could miss a race week to week, having to go through that sprint qualifier, especially to a track like this where they could end up in a wreck. And so Eli the Wolf has been able to dodge some bullets and continues to make the main events each week. And he's really, really on the edge of finding victory lane in this number 94 machine. The one carrot on a stick for a lot of these drivers is getting that win to make it into the 2025 Sigma All-Star event later this year in July. It's going to be kind of a first of its kind. We haven't really had a Sigma Cup All-Star event since my tenure moving to YouTube with my series. There have been All-Star events. I used to do it kind of on Olympic schedule every 4 years. Your original All-Star was none other than the 15 here of Dalton Scott, who had won the very first Sigma All-Star event in 2014. Skip ahead 4 more years. In 2018, it was Kyle Larson, and we haven't done another All-Star event since. But go figure, Kyle Larson would go find a way to get one of those All-Star events. He's very much an All-Star caliber driver through and through. And the fact that he had some time in the Sigma Cup Series goes to show you just how versatile he is. Well, still the fastest lap here in today's race belongs to Al Bunch, who is your current leader. And perhaps we may be looking down the barrel of that floodgate crashing upon us, as Al Bunch won the last race out. Could he go on a tear here and win another set of races? If we look at the coming schedule, he's almost won at Charlotte, and that's in a couple weeks for the Coke 600. North Wilkesboro might be down his wheelhouse, down his alley. Phoenix, Michigan, Sonoma, Richmond, I mean, all of those could be a track where we see Al Bunch take another victory, so but he's going to have his hands full with Jaguar teammates today, as Kellen Relic showing some presence at the front of the field. This might be an off day for Bradley Reim, as we have not seen him up in the top 10 yet. Ewan Whatarmy has worked his way up to 10th, actually up to 9th there. While in the meanwhile, Bradley Reim has kind of settled into an 18th place run right now. He's got some free space to keep from other drivers catching up to him, but might be a long day for that 78 crew. We're only really disqualifying drivers that don't meet the minimum race pace here today. It's just, unfortunately, circumstances to give the best racing product here today. They were involved in that initial first wreck at the beginning of the race, and their cars are not going to ever be the same here today. And with no cautions reigning, and no cautions coming their way, it's not going to be easy for them to get caught back up to the lead group. So we'll keep an eye on it once the leaders start closing that gap. Oh wow, we had a 3 wide. Gotta go back to the last lap here. Wow. Tom Cording came kind of from nowhere and takes over all 3 of the Kellen Relic Racing Jaguars to pass by him. Impressive. We're starting to see a new face at the front of the field here that we have not yet seen tonight. Tom Cording, one of those rookies in the Rookie of the Year battle. He's about 3rd or 4th in that battle with Bradley Reim and Braden Varga. What's impressive is in the top 5, 3 of the top 5 are all Cording Brothers Motorsports drivers, where you've got Braden Varga, Tom Cording, and Tasha Wright all within the top 5 for Rookie of the Year honors. So it shows definitely how stacked the team is and where Chevy has actually gotten a flagship team to pilot their vehicles this year. Kellen makes a dive here on Tom for the lead. Well, a lot of movement through the field here. Kellen Relic, Tom Cording, Al Bunch, and now Chaz Chadwick in 4th. Lucas Holmes kind of out of nowhere up to 5th. Wyatt Wilkinson in 6th, as Eli the Wolf has a terrible, badly no good lap there in the 94. Drops from 3rd to 7th, and he's battling with Ewan Whatarmy for 7th, 8th. Bradley Reim needs to get it going. Tom Cording back to the lead as Kellen Relic gets shuffled to 3rd. Lucas Holmes, Chaz Chadwick, and Wyatt Wilkinson. It's actually kind of interesting as Wyatt Wilkinson has been attempting a couple races this season for LFG Motorsports. Kind of a dual rookie campaign here for the 19 driver, as he has been in the number 17 on a few occasions and the 19 on a few occasions. He had a good finish at Irwindale for LFG Motorsports, or actually let me correct myself. He was in this 19 car at Irwindale, my bad. It's been a little harder for him to get into the main events with the LFG car. Sometimes it's just that hard to get through the sprint qualifiers. There's a lot of talent trying to get into the main event each week, so And that's one of the perks of this number 19 seat. It is chartered. This spot was earned by Atlee Weiss, finishing top 10 in the points last year in the number 19. And with his departure, he had come across this project to get the best out of the 19 seat. And so what's going to happen is this 19 seat will remain chartered next year. It's going to turn into a different driver based on the sweepstakes, or kind of this battle amongst rookies to figure out who earns the right to take over the team. And it's kind of a running gamble between the three of them as to who is going to get the first win in Project Roar. Well, Willow has come close on a few occasions. Had some good runs. Wyatt Wilkinson only has had 2 starts in the number 19. But Wyatt Wilkinson has had a 13th and a 13th in his 2 starts. When you look at Willow Blake with her 5 starts, though, she's had a 27th, a 3rd, a 15th and 11th, and 8th. So 3rd is the mark set for the these drivers to try and beat each other. 2nd would be the next on that ladder, and of course getting the win. Whoever could get the win first, it'll definitely have bragging rights on it. Now Trevor Vaden in his 5 starts hasn't been near as good, with a 15th, an 11th, a 39th, a 23rd, and a 20th. Now when you put into perspective that each driver is going to have 14 attempts in the number 19 here, 5 is kind of a good gauge as to right now. Like, we're almost getting to the halfway point. It's not quite halfway through their Project Roar season. Obviously 7 would be that. We're still waiting to see what Wilkinson's got. We need to see some more races out of him, and this, in only his 3rd start, is very impressive. Well, with Tom Cording back at the lead, it's Kellen Relic fighting to take the lead away again. Let me do a little bit of a deep dive here on the 87 of Kellen Relic in his past races here at Papyrus. The first ever race we've hosted at Papyrus back in 2011. He was a 12th place finish. Jump ahead one more year. Papyrus, he came home 6th in 2012. So far I'm seeing Papyrus might be a track kind of in Kellen's wheelhouse. 17th in 2013. He's always been very successful in the Cup Series. An original OG from day one in 2010. Kellen Relic has been pretty much in the series ever since its inception. Now we found one that was kind of a stinker. 2014 He finished 31st, so not a great showing in 2014 for Kellen Relic. Seems like perhaps 2015 he was absent that year. I know he took at least a brief hiatus during one stint of the series. And he comes back in 2018, so he was absent from 2015 to 2017. Jump ahead a couple years, and the next race at Papyrus he had was a 14th. So far, I'm not seeing where Kellen had actually won at Papyrus. I was kind of curious to see if he'd ever taken victory here before. Appears that that may not be the case. One of our OGs that's been at it for quite some time has had a lot of wins in his career, but yet this is not one of them. But of course, there is a bunch of drivers not yet with a victory here at Papyrus, a lot of which are in their infant years of the Sigma Cup Series. Tom Cording, this is his rookie season. This is his first ever Papyrus Sigma Cup race. Chaz Chadwick looking to get some more wins in the Cup side of things. He's very successful in the USA Trucks and has still held down a seat in the Truck Series. He has not been graduated out yet with the rule that you can only win 2.5 championships before you have to be excavated out of the Truck Series. So Chaz Chadwick, he's had a a regular season championship, which those only count as half a championship. He's pretty much basically a truck championship away from graduating out of the Truck Series for good. Good night here for him. It's a change of fate. That 18 has had a rough start to the season, trying to turn it around. .60 laps here from Papyrus is honestly probably the best distance to run at this track. It's kind of a happy medium. It's not too short. It's not too long. We get at least a round of pit stops in. And we've seen a lot of lead changes here tonight. Chaz Chadwick wants to add on to the leaders. If we look at the side-by-side here, we've had Tom Cording, Chaz Chadwick, Braden Varga, Kellen Relic, Al Bunch, Eli the Wolf, Dalton Scott, Brian DeBlank. That's 8 different leaders, folks. 8 different leaders here today. And not really setting, you know, Al Bunch didn't have the led most laps locked up yet. That could swing to Tom Cording or even Chaz Chadwick for that matter. Kellen Relic could bounce up there and lead some more laps. So this could get interesting for led most laps and the bonus points tied to that. Might be one of the best runs for LFG Motorsports as a whole team lately. I know that the 14 of Kevin Xavier unfortunately got wrecked out here today, and Chris Harvey's also been struggling, as those are two of the drivers that got DQ'd at the back of the field. So it's a half and half. Chaz Chadwick finally finding a little bit of luck here today at Papyrus. And now, last round of pit stops here with 18 laps to go. This is going to be a crucial pit stop to figure out who's got the best strategy to win it all. I like the strategy of taking the undercut here, getting in and getting those fresh tires on sooner than later. Kellen Relic staying out a little longer could still make it work, but it's going to be hard when everyone else comes out with those fresh tires and are putting more lap time on you. Well, there you have Dalton Scott and Brian DeBlank stretching it just a little bit further here. We've seen one wreck tonight, but we have seen 0 cautions. So one wreck was pretty gnarly as you saw the 29 of Lewis Trost flip into the grass. Looks like there's 4 drivers yet to pit. The 23 of Guido Piano, the 09 of Matthew Fastnot, 85 of Brian DeBlank, and the 15 of Dalton Scott. Damn, Dalton's going to stay out another lap, and there's a caution on track. Oh boy. How does this shake things up with a caution and still having some folks that stayed out here? Ultimately, what was the caution for? Well, we've seen it a few times this year, but it could have very well just been a Sigma debris caution, and that's exactly what it is. It's a Sigma debris caution with 16 laps to go. Wow. In all honesty, this is not ideal for Dalton Scott, as now without the help of green flag pit stops, he's going to lose a lot of track position here. So it would have been better if it stayed green for him, because he could have taken the advantage of pitting and rejoining the racetrack where he should have cycled out. But instead, he's going to get shuffled all the way to the back. Kellen Relic's going to cycle around to being your new leader once these three pit. Oh wait, Brian DeBlank's going to be the leader. He was saved by the bell as you saw him coming down pit road with the yellow flag. The caution was already waving, and he was able to take a cheap pit stop, get fresh tires, get full gas, rejoin the racetrack with what will now be the lead. Well, we got our one caution later in the race than expected. And as always, cautions breed cautions, so this could get a little bit topsy-turvy here tonight, as a late race restart could really push the envelope here. Brian DeBlank, fortunate to have the lead here. Not often that you see Brian DeBlank with a lucky break. Usually it's a unlucky break. And yet here today, he's going to lead them to a late race restart with about 13 laps to go over the 87 of Kellen Relic. Your points leader, Ewan Whatarmy. Lynn Farrell running in fourth. That's impressive. We've not seen that 69 up front very often. Could be a good night for Lynn Farrell. Taden Berggren, Tom Cording, Wyatt Wilkinson, Chaz Chadwick, and Braden Varga. Followed by Lucas Holmes, Eli the Wolf, Maggie Reams, Bradley Reim, Carson Bowers, Tristan Reams, Rich Roy, Tasha Wright, Fireball Robert, Jacob Shangle, Jordan Walker. Wow, Al Bunch, who had been dominant this race, gets shuffled all the way back to 22nd. He's going to have to come from deep in the field if he wants a shot to try and get back in the winning category here. Cooper Dwight, Tyler Shangle, Nate Newman, Trevor Walker, Dave Steele Jr., Kara Shangle, Tyler Aspinall, John Hagan, Jack Ross, and the last three drivers that had not yet pitted. It's going to be Dalton Scott, Matthew Fastnot, and Guido Piano. With the 56 of Andre Stefan. Well, folks, the lights are off on the pace car. And we're about to get set for a 13-lap shootout, if we can make it there without another caution. Will we see a new winner? Are we going to see someone win their way into the All-Star race here today? Of the drivers at the front of the field, DeBlank would click his ticket. Kellen Relic would click his ticket. Lynn Farrell would click his ticket, as well as Tadenberger and Tom Cording. Wyatt Wilkinson, even though he's on a part-time schedule, he is still eligible with a win in the series, and you're into that all-star race. Chaz Chadwick, Lucas Holmes, Eli the Wolf, Maggie Reams, and that's about it for our top 15, other than Tristan Reams, who could also lock his way in. This is where it's going to get interesting, though, as they get doubled up for the restart. We'll see if they can keep it clean for the final 13 laps of this race. Hopefully we don't have to exercise Sigma overtime here tonight. The last Sigma overtime race was just last night at Michigan, where everyone just started running out of gas on the last lap. So definitely do not want to hit that overtime stage of the race and risk everyone running out of fuel again. We're going to try our best to cover all the angles on this restart. There's going to be a lot to follow. Pace car is going to pull off here on the front stretch, and it's all within the hands of the 32 drivers left running here tonight. Brian DeBlanc doesn't get near the start that he probably wishes he could have. Kellen Relic on the outside trying to fight back. Tadenberger on that inside line with Ewan Whatarmy, the points leader. Wyatt Wilkinson also deep in the pack there, giving a good push to the two cars in front of him. That's going to help DeBlanc seal first position for now. I'm going to keep an eye on the lights outside the racetrack to make sure things stay green too. This could get very interesting here. 3 wide for 3rd, 4th, 5th place. Rather 5th, 6th, and 7th. DeBlanc, Relic, Whatarmy, and Farrell. Lynn Farrell slotting in to 3rd at the moment. And that is parity at its finest, as you've got Chevy racing over Jaguar and Dodge. Lynn Farrell in the Pizza Racer number 69, right there behind the 2 leaders. We have not seen Lynn Farrell in a position to win a race yet in Sigma Cup competition. This is untreaded waters for that number 69 team, and it's looking like it could go really good here tonight for Mr. Farrell. Getting by Brian DeBlanc is huge, as that was the driver that has the best tires, has the most fuel. If you can get past the 85, you're sitting pretty. Kellen Relic's going to be a tough coconut to crack in the lead there. LFG Motorsports running 4th and 5th with Whatarmy and Chadwick. Wyatt Wilkinson up to 6th, still within range of fighting for this win. If you're anywhere outside the top 6 right now, it's going to be a little harder to get the win, I feel, with as many laps that are left. So honestly, that sweet spot is going to be top 6 with about 12 laps to go. Wow, Ewan Whatarmy trying to join the party here. Now you got the LFG train rolling through. Chadwick and Whatarmy trying to gain some more ground here on the leaders. Lynn Farrell is at the whim of the LFG teammates as they're trying to gang up on him here. 3 wide for the lead as Ewan Whatarmy trying to get back to the front and secures many points here today. As we look through, Bradley Reim has not been able to surface. He's been dragged down to the depths here today. 14th on a bad day is still a good, it's a good bad day to have as you're trying to minimize the points lost here today. Bradley Reim is trying to see the big picture at the end of the painting, and may not be the best night here, but hopefully can get a couple more spots before the end of it. Now it's Whatarmy leading the race with Lynn Farrell in second. Lynn Farrell's team owner, Tyler Shangle, was the original driver here back when we had the photo finish at Papyrus. Tyler Shangle beat Aaron Rapp in a photo finish for the Century. And it took 3 days for me to actually officially confirm the winner of that race. Tyler Shangle did not know if he won for 3 days. And I was racking my brain trying to figure out, did he win it? Did he not? Did I go off of actual timing and scoring, or did I look at the pixels of the polygons as they cross the start-finish line? And, well, it's a track very, very near and dear to Tyler's heart, and perhaps one of his best buddies can get a win for the team here tonight as Lynn Farrell takes over the lead. What might be the nice, neat little cherry on top would be getting that berth into the Sigma All-Star race. Wow, all of a sudden Wyatt Wilkinson joining the party with Brian DeBlanc. Lynn Farrell's got his hands full now. Race is far from over with 8 laps still to go. Lynn Farrell might just have to settle in here, recoup, and recalibrate for the final few laps to try and find that last push for the win. Kellen Relic getting by him here. What's most impressive is Wyatt Wilkinson running in second. As you can see, a lot of these drivers dropping back here. That might be by plan. Let the leaders get so far out that they lose ground, and then the draft kicks in. That's when you get the draft and you start catching the leaders again. So I can only see this going one of two ways. Either your two drivers at the front here find a way to keep the lead, or the rest of the field comes charging in on them. Fastest lap of the race was set way back, and that was by Al Bunch, who had previously led a bunch of laps here today. And he is mired deep in the field in 17th. Ouch. He's getting by Bradley Reim. That'll put Bradley Reim back to 17th as he'll get up to 16th there. But Lynn Farrell has caught back up to your leaders. And it's still looking like probably about a 3 to 5 car fight for the win here today. Kellen Relic and Chaz Chadwick could still very well catch up, fight for the win. Wyatt Wilkinson peeking down low here to try and take the lead away. But Lynn Farrell going to hopscotch both of them and take the lead back. Lynn is definitely flying here tonight. Wyatt Wilkinson thought for a brief moment that he would have the lead, but it got pulled out like a rug underneath him there, that he had a chance and it didn't come to fruition. But I don't know where I'd want to be at this point. You know, it's nice to be in the lead, but when you're leading, you're not going near as fast as the drivers behind you in the draft. So, just like that, Wyatt Wilkinson's going to peak on the inside of Farrell. I'm thinking I'd want to be about third, fourth, with about 2 laps to go. That way you can start to, you know, pick them off one by one with the last couple laps of the race. And that might very well be the game plan here for Lynn Farrell. Let the rest of the drivers fight for the lead here and just kind of hang out in the background. Wait till it's go time and hit the throttle. Very, very veteran move there out of Lynn Farrell to get around the 19 and keep third place to himself. Been quite a while since we've seen Kellen Relic to victory lane. Your top 3 are all drivers looking for their first win this season. Lynn Farrell would be first win ever, along with Wyatt Wilkinson also looking for his first win ever in the Cup Series. I'm just glad our race here from Papyrus has gone off without a hitch. We're getting the best racing possible with just 4 laps to go now. And it's anyone's guess as to who's going to have the winning strategy to get it all done here today. Go ahead and do a quick skim through the rest of the field. Lucas Holmes in the top 5, Chaz Chadwick, Ewan Whatarmy both in the top 10. Carson Bowers has been impressive with a win earlier this season from Atlanta, and he's continuing to have some stellar runs in the number 40 car there. Wow, rough day for Bradley Reim, man. It's going to be a bit of a dip in the points. It's not going to be a huge drop, but it's definitely going to be noticeable. Brian DeBlanc takes the lead from Kellen Relic. Lynn Farrell's going to follow suit, and it looks like Wyatt Wilkinson also going to follow suit on the inside there. This very well could be a race here tonight that kind of changes the trajectory of some of these drivers' season. Hasn't been the best of seasons for Lynn Farrell. Kellen Relic's been off to a slow start when in comparison to his teammates that have been out there running up front and winning. And Brian DeBlanc, who has had a very consistent start to the season, but has yet to see victory. So, a lot of good storylines that could develop from a win here today, especially with the cast of characters we have running up front here. Wyatt Wilkinson, it's been a tough start to the season in Bridge to Cup for him. The 2024 ARCA champion, which many had expected to see him out front, lead laps, running for wins in Bridge to Cup, but it just has not been the year he was hoping for so far. Something like this could really help morale and start boosting the team, even in Bridge to Cup. Now, I know this is a cup race, but getting that driver's head in the game could be huge for future success. 2 laps remain, and it is Lynn Farrell leading the way. Like I said, you don't want to be the lame duck sitting out front in the last couple laps. The draft going to work against him here, as he's going to have just a handful of laps to try and close it out here today. Regardless of how it actually turns out here, Wyatt Wilkinson might be proving a point, might be laying a statement race here today in that number 19. And might put Willow Blake on alert. Or even Trevor Vaden for that point, that Wyatt Wilkinson might be here to fight for that Cup championship, the Project Roar position. Not necessarily a Cup championship. No, he wouldn't be in the championship fight. Oh, Lynn Farrell gets bulldogged out of the way there by Lucas Holmes. Man, that was the sitting duck situation I was talking about. Now he's going to have to come crawling from behind with just a couple laps now left to go. That's a lot harder to do when you're that far back. Wyatt Wilkinson keeping that 19 clean. Brian DeBlanc has always rued the fact that he's snake bitten in these things, and it's always something that comes to knock him out of a win here or there. Hopefully he can stump the odds and actually be in a better position here today. But I'm sure, as many drivers, it weighs heavy on the back of your brain. It's like, how am I going to lose this race here tonight? What's going to go wrong? Where am I going to miscalculate and lose the lead? Well, not going to have much longer to worry about it, as it is white flag, final lap of the race. Kellen Relic making a move there on Wyatt Wilkinson. Kellen on a heater as he's trying to charge for Brian DeBlanc here. Is Kellen going to have what it takes to win and lock himself in to the Sigma All-Star race, or is it going to be Brian DeBlanc's night? Wyatt Wilkinson falls way back. Lynn Farrell running in 5th. Could we be in for a treat here tonight? Is it going to be a photo finish opportunity? Are we going to see the 87 get alongside the 85 here on the final stretch of racetrack? Kellen Relic definitely in the higher powered Jaguar, fighting the Chevrolet in front of him. He's got the run. Is he going to have the window of opportunity? He's going to dip low here. Is he going to have enough track? No sirree. Brian DeBlanc gets the job done here today at Papyrus. Kellen Relic comes home 2nd. Wyatt Wilkinson 3rd. Tom Cording and Lynn Farrell round out your top 5. Carson Bowers, Lucas Holmes, Braden Varga, Maggie Reams, and Al Bunch, with Chaz Chadwick is actually 10th, Al Bunch 11th. Bradley Reim gets back up to 12th and actually makes up some points on Ewan Whatarmy. So that points battle, wow, what a turn of events there. Bradley Reim actually resurged to get back by the 1 for that points battle for the overall championship. Credit to Brian DeBlanc on getting that first win of the season and also locking his way in to the All-Star event later this year in July. before tonight, he was still locked into the All-Star race. There is a position given to the driver highest in points without a win. Well, now we're going to be looking at someone else in the points highest without a win, because Brian DeBlanc has taken a win. Wilkinson with a third. They're going to be leaving here on high hopes for the rest of the season. That 19 may very well be his car at the end of the year. Who knows? And I'm not going to jinx it now because the race is over, but thank goodness the game didn't crash on me here tonight. This track was giving me trouble this week, and the game had crashed a couple times. And so right there, race 13 of 42, saving the results page right there. And the replay, race 13 of 42, replay saved in the books. So that is a wrap here. Sometimes it's trial and error, and we finally got this race in without any error. Congratulations to Brian DeBlanc and everyone else that had a stellar run here today. Some new faces at the front of the field that were fighting for this win. It was a great race to be a part of. And that points battle is going to get interesting. Bradley Reim was only about 10 points back of Ewan Whatarmy. Well, after that, it might be a little bit closer, like 5 points, the deficit. So, well, thanks again, folks, for tuning in to the Sigma broadcast. That one was fun to follow. Hopefully, y'all have a great weekend. It's going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week. Back at it again. So, but until then, hopefully y'all have a good night. Stay safe out there until the next stream. This is Jakester, signing out.